On Wednesday, in an interview with the UK's Daily Telegraph, President Trump said he was seriously considering pulling the United States out of NATO because Europe had not helped it in the war against Iran. Yet, in his address to the nation on Wednesday evening, Trump did not mention NATO or the threat to pull out. So why was that? To me, President Trump's remarks to the Telegraph were classic Trump. He would threaten an extreme course of action, possibly to change the subject or possibly to gain leverage in a negotiation that he was not necessarily committed to, but was sufficiently serious to cause allies and partners much alarm. In this case, that was happening because of the Strait of Hormuz. Because he says that Europe gets most of its oil from there, and the United States military has already done the hard part of degrading Iran's capacity to project power. But that's not quite true. Iran retains the ability to attack ships going through the strait, and it has effectively decided which countries can send ships through and which cannot. President Alexander Stubb of Finland called President Trump in advance of this speech, and that may have played a role in walking him off a ledge on the NATO threat, but we might expect it to come back in the weeks to come, particularly if the war is not going particularly well. President Trump cannot just pull the United States out of NATO according to legislation passed by Congress over the last couple of years. It would require congressional support. But in reality, he effectively can do the same thing by just threatening not to uphold Article 5 and not to defend NATO from attack. So this is a serious issue. But let's get real. President Trump is trying to blame Europe because things haven't quite gone as planned in the war. But I would expect that over time, as European leaders engage with him, that he will not follow through in his threat to leave NATO. There will still be problems. There will still be lots of issues, particularly on Ukraine. But I think we can expect a continued muddle through on the transatlantic alliance. To learn more, please go to brookings.edu.